What's going on, everyone? Happy Sunday. Welcome to another installment of the Southern Baller Show. Again, I am Jared O11 Green, and we're going to talk a little bit of football today. Mr. Shelton is already in the chat. What's up? I have my co-host, Mr. Southern himself, host 67 Sports TV. What's going on with you, sir?
All is well, bro. How y'all gentlemen doing this evening?
I'm blessed. I can't complain.
Doing well, enjoying myself.
All right, all right. And then I have another guest, Mr. Brandon Brazell, a.k.a. Ghost is the name of Ghost 86. What's going on, sir?
Hey, doing very well. Glad to be invited back.
Anytime, man. Especially you have time. And those who don't know, this gentleman also has a um, YouTube channel. Great content. Of course, I'm gonna let you plug your stuff, what you have on your channel. But
Uh,
go ahead, Brandon.
I was gonna say generally anything I can think of, mostly food because that's what I love. But I try to keep it varied. I don't want nobody to get bored with one subject content. Trying to do something a little bit different.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like I said, we have Mr. Shelton saying what's up. One of the LDBC brother, and another LDBC brother, Mr. Picasso. What's going on? He said, "What it do?" He said, "I'm driving." Okay, you be safe, brother. Thank you for listening to us while you're driving. Man, we had some exciting games. Of course, a lot of that is football games, college. Uh, of course, a lot of their week one games are teams that like are division um, FCS type schools. So or they could be FBS, but then wasn't really that good. So there's probably a couple of blowouts. But we did have a couple of good games, which we'll discuss a few of them, not all, of course, unfortunately. But one thing we will discuss first is the HBCU games, of course. We have to. First of all, Coach, I'm gonna go ahead and let you get it out your system. What happened to your Southern Jaguars versus Alabama State?
Well, bro, uh, I think it's a few different things, and as usual, instead of me just doing my post game analysis, I waited so I can be on your show first, and after the show, then I'm gonna upload my video. But first starting with the offensive side of the ball, uh, I was listening to the game both on the radio and watching it on the ESPN Plus app. ESPN, they have to get this stuff straight because, from what I saw both on YouTube and on the app, they didn't start. They didn't catch like the opening kickoff. I wasn't able to watch it until like Southern was on the plus side of the field. Anyway, the first series, Southern's offense, they moved the ball well. Harold Blood, he was hit or miss at times. He threw a touchdown to Kendrick Grimes. They scored. Then on the defensive side of the ball, it was like Southern defense couldn't stop a nosebleed at all. Friend Mr. Davis at quarterback, he, like you and I were talking about behind the scenes, I think he's underrated. I'm not going to say he's first or second team all SWAC, but I think he's an honorable mention all SWAC type of guy. So, I think he's underrated. They went down the field. They scored a touchdown. The guy, Keyshawn Johnson, he was unstoppable at wide receiver. So it was like Southern's offense had it going the first drive. Southern's defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. And then the second drive, Harold Blood let him down the field again. Instead of scoring a touchdown, he kicked the field goal. And then Alabama State went down the field and they kicked the field goal, but they missed. And the score was 7-10. And essentially, that was the only two drives the Southern scored on the entire game. And truthfully speaking, as a Southern fan, I think the issue is initially on the offensive side of the ball, Southern had it going. And on the defensive side of the ball, they couldn't stop a nosebleed. But from the offensive standpoint, I think the biggest issue is, I hate to say it, it's twofold. It's one, the offensive line, because, in my video yesterday, I was talking about like all the very good running backs Southern has had over the years, going all the way back to Lindsey Scott in 93, Lindsey Scott, Melvin Williams Jr., Steve Walford, in more recent years, Lenore Tillery. Now, they have a good stable of backs with Kobe Dillon and Kendrick Grimes. So they have a good stable of backs. I think the issue is the offensive line. That's where it all starts. It seemed like the offensive line just, they wasn't aggressive as Southern offensive line to have been in the past. Maybe it's going to take a while for Eli Fields and them guys to come together. But the offensive line wasn't as good. But I think the bigger issue is, I hate to say it, is Harold Blood. It's early in the season. It may be too early to tell, but I'm going to be truthful. To say he's been in Southern that long, I've seen a lot of Southern quarterbacks over the years, from way back to, when I was a kid. Nate Harrison was starting quarterback. From Nate Harrison up until this present point of Harold Blood, and I'm going to just be truthful. Harold Blood is not that guy. Like you always say, if I'm wrong, I'm willing to eat crow. However, truthfully speaking, he's been at Southern a while. Last year, he played well against Florida Memorial, against Virginia Lynchburg, essentially against all the extremely low-level competition. However, when he played against J-State last year in the SWAC championship game, he got exposed. And it's like the issues he had then, he still have those same issues now. If you load up the box and you blitz him heavily, he's a pure pocket passer that's not really an accurate passer. And in addition to that, he's not athletic enough to be like a Darius Skelton, Bashawn McCray running quarterback type guy. So he's a pocket passer that really isn't a great pocket passer, if that makes sense. So the issue is like, I said this when he was in the spring game. I'm like, the game he played in the spring game, it was good for the spring. However, it wasn't good enough for a regular season game, especially when you're playing against a team the caliber Alabama State. I know it's early in the season. People might say, hey, you need to give him a chance. But I think from an offensive standpoint, I think the first thing they need to do based on what Jackson State did today was, I would try to, one, establish a running game, and two, in terms of the quarterback position, I would open things up. The way J-State plays 3 quarterbacks, if I was Coach Dooley, I would play 3 quarterbacks. I would play, start Harold Blood. If he plays extremely well, I would give each quarterback 2 series. I would go with Harold Blood, I would go with Noah Barton, and I would go with Dylan Marotta. I would give each quarterback 2 series. If Blood plays exceptionally well the first couple of series, then I will stick with him. However, if he struggles like he did yesterday, I will give him the hook. I will let Barton come in and see what he could do. If he doesn't get it going, then I will go with Marotta. And I would, one, try to establish identity in terms of trying to establish the run game. And then secondly, I would open things up from the in terms of the quarterback position. I would try to establish a run game. I would try to do like he did yesterday and get a couple of passes to Kendrick Grimes at the backfield, to get his confidence going, get him a couple of easy passes. But after a certain point, you have to take the training wheels off, and just too often in yesterday's game, he just was inaccurate. And there were times he had happy feet. I don't know if he was hearing things, but he was throwing the ball early when he could actually sit back and go through his progression. So it seems as if he's still not, because there were a few instances yesterday where Alabama State, they had like a soft pass rush, and he didn't even need to step up in the pocket. He could just sit in the pocket and just sit back and throw the ball. But he got rid of the ball early, not letting receivers' routes develop. There were other times where he was blitzed and he tried to run, and he's just not athletic enough to get out the way. There were a couple of times where, the pocket was collapsing. Instead of him just sit and make the delivery, he tried to escape the pocket early. And I know in one instance he didn't get sacked, but he gained on it like a couple yards. So I think the overall issue on the offensive side of the ball was the offensive line play, but more importantly, the quarterback play and Harold Blood. Those were the two positions that were in question coming into the season, and it showed yesterday. I know some individuals may say it's early in the season, coach, it's too early to tell. That could be the case. If I'm wrong, then I'll be willing to acknowledge that. However, based on last year's season, when Southern actually got in the SWAC play against Texas Southern, but Sean McCray, he struggled, and he showed he wasn't that guy. This year didn't have the benefit of playing against Florida Memorial and LSU to start the season. They started out SWAC play first game of the season, and truthfully speaking, I don't think he's that guy. And the issue, I think the overall issue is, from what I've been hearing, former Scotlandville High starting quarterback Zay Tissett. From what I've been hearing, they say he's been looking good in camp, like fall camp to this point. I think from a talent standpoint, from what I hear, this could be just rumor and innuendo, or this could actually be the truth. He's a true freshman. From what I'm hearing, like, he's the most talented quarterback of the bunch, but he doesn't know everything yet. He's still a little bit immature. So I think if it's to a point where he's the best option, because truthfully speaking, if Harold Blood's their best quarterback, they're in trouble. So the point I'm trying to make is, if there's a point in the season where he opened up the quarterback position and he let those three more experienced quarterbacks play, and they're not getting the job done, I think when they have a easier game, like maybe I'm not looking at the schedule, so when they have an easier goal in terms of a softer team in SWAC play, I will go with Zay Tissett, maybe Jalen Woods, or those younger quarterbacks, to see what they got. But other than that, I think the biggest issue is the quarterback play and Harold Blood. The defense struggled at times, but I think they played well enough for Southern to win. So it was a close game, but overall, I think the biggest issue was the quarterback play.
Yeah, definitely.
He has a lot of weapons in terms of both running back and wide receiver, so there's no excuse for him to play as poorly as he did.
Yeah, definitely the quarterback position and the offensive line held y'all back from winning that game. But moving on, there are some other games that happened yesterday. UAB blew out North Carolina A&T 35-6. Tulsa beat Arkansas Pine Bluff 42-7. Eastern Michigan beat Howard 33-23. Of course, we all knew which this game happened actually not yesterday, but I think Friday. Notre Dame beat Tennessee State 56-3. Charlotte, it was a close game, but Charlotte eventually pulled away from South Carolina State 24-3. Vanderbilt beat Alabama A&M 47-13. Southern Miss beat Alcorn State 40-14. Memphis beat Bethune-Cookman 56-14. Bowie State beat Delaware 22-11. Delaware State 22-11. Virginia State beat Norfolk State 27-24. Central State beat Mississippi Valley 24-21, and North Carolina Central outlasted Winston-Salem 47-21. Now there's two games I have a problem with. Is the actually three is the Bowie State game versus Delaware, the Virginia State versus Norfolk State, and Central State versus Mississippi Valley. Now, Coach, I reached out to you yesterday and told you that this was, this is not good for a Division One FCS HBCU. If you look at those three games, what is the issue there, Coach?
Well, I think the issue is it's early in the season. A lot of teams, maybe from a chemistry standpoint, things haven't come together yet. Maybe in terms of using the boxing analogy, they're still kind of feeling their way through the season, and they really haven't gotten their legs yet. So, a lot of times when you play these games early in the season, that's why teams, like to start out with a cupcake game, the first game of the season, just to get a win and to get some confidence and build some chemistry and some continuity to kind of get things going. But eventually, when you play against, when you get in the conference play, you really get exposed. If you play against a couple weaker teams earlier, if you're not that good of a team. So, I think, especially in like Valley's instance, we known for a while that, from a talent standpoint, there were years where I hate to say it, Valley, from a talent standpoint, they look like they don't even belong in the SWAC. But yet, every year they might pull off a couple games where we're like, wow, I'm shocked. And that's why I say I have to give them a lot of credit, because watching them play last year against Southern, it was cold. It was senior evening. Truthfully speaking, Southern really should have blown them out. But the fact that I think Glendon Bubba McDaniel, he hadn't played in so long, and they gave Bashawn McCray the first series, and he went down the field and he led the team out of the field and they scored a touchdown. And then they put Glendon Bubba McDaniel in the game, and for all intents and purposes, the offense struggled. Even though Southern won by like maybe 3-4 scores, that game was actually a lot closer than people think. So the point I'm trying to make is, from a talent standpoint in that game, they only had like, I think, three real good players on the entire team, in my estimation. So that's why when they actually won a couple weeks later, that allowed Southern to make back into the SWAC championship game. I was shocked because, from a talent standpoint, watching them that evening, for senior evening at Southern, I didn't think they were that good a team. So, it wouldn't be shocked if they lost to an NAIA lower level HBCU type school. I'm not shocked at all. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, and shout out to the brothers, everybody in the chat. Living with Big Reg. Shout out to the brothers Jay Good and brother Brent Fox. Shout out to Jay Barr. Shout out to everybody in the chat.
Thank you, Coach. You beat me to shouting out them brothers. Yeah, salute to all y'all brothers coming in supporting. I appreciate you guys hearing us run our mouth. I appreciate it. But Bowie State, Virginia State, Central State are all Division II HBCUs, and all of them yesterday beat Division I HBCUs. Delaware State is part of the MEAC. Norfolk State is part of the MEAC, and Mississippi Valley is part of the SWAC. I know those are, like you said, everybody's trying to find that chemistry at the beginning of the season, but you can't lose to teams like that. You just can't. Those are the little brothers of the HBCU football world. Y'all
bro.
supposed to be the big brothers. That can't happen.
Bro, I agree 100%. In all actuality, like I was saying, that's those games are games that early in the season that you use to establish yourself to get an easy win to start the season. So I'm in agreement 100% with you. But the problem is when you play those type of games and you lose, you really get exposed.
Exactly. Exactly. So, y'all, when it comes to conference play, they might like you said, they may have gotten exposed. But there were some good games that went on yesterday, and I want to shout out, and I'm gonna give myself some flowers, give myself some props. Uh, Trezon Conley from Prairie View A&M balled out yesterday uh, against Texas Southern. So Prairie View A&M went to overtime with the Texas Southern, they were heavily favored to win. But Prairie View A&M basically hung in there and basically came out with the win with the field goal. Went beat the Texas Southern Tigers 37-34. So congratulations to those Panthers. A couple lately, these past few years, they've been heavily competitive in the SWAC. I'm just excited to see this program able to compete when they've been the doorstep um, of the FCS college football world for um, many years, but these past few years they haven't. So shout out to those Panthers, and shout out to Trezon Conley. Um, we're gonna go ahead and cut to the chase, Coach. We're gonna go ahead and talk about the game that happened yesterday. I mean, not yesterday. Earlier today. If those who didn't catch it, Florida A&M and Jackson State played against each other, and it. I'm I'm just gonna be honest. It was not competitive as far as what we all thought. Florida A&M came out and punched Jackson State in the mouth, mainly with the running game. With all three of those big backs they got, and it was Jackson State didn't score basically to the fourth quarter, Coach. Um, but instead of with Jason Brown, they had Zy McDonald in, which I thought, me personally, he looked better against that very aggressive defense from FAMU. But like you told me earlier, it didn't matter. FAMU looked dominant in all um, all parts of the game, from special teams to offense to defense. Coach, what is your opinion on that?
you right, bro. I think FAMU, I see why they would pick to win the SWAC. SWAC East in particular, you know, coming into the season, a lot of JSU fans were like, why isn't JSU favored to win the SWAC? And there's not a whole lot of drop off since Coach Brown left. They stayed in the third. From a talent standpoint, they may be a talented team, but the reason I gave the advantage to FAMU is because FAMU, they have a very experienced team. They have a very good quarterback in Jeremy Musa. But more than anything, they have the chemistry and they have the continuity. They've been together. And like I was saying last week, and JB pointed it out also, is, don't jump out the window, J-State fans, because it could be a situation where South Carolina State isn't that good, or it could be a situation where South Carolina State had an off game, and based on, the scores we were looking at earlier, I don't think South Carolina State is that good. I feel bad for Coach Pugh. That could be the case, or maybe they're just having a slow start to the season. But I don't think South Carolina State that good, and I think FAMU kind of, I'm not gonna say exposed J State, but I think they pretty much showed that last week's game, it just was an anomaly in terms of, I don't think Jackson State week in and week out is gone. Smack teams the way they did South Carolina State last week. And of course, they had a nice special teams return to start out the game, which put them on the board early. Like you said, the quarterback situation is more situation where you need to go with the hot hand more than anything. I think this situation is kind of similar to what I think it should be for Southern, but I think Coach Dooley is going to stick with Harold Blood. But in terms of the defense, you looked at more the offensive standpoint from a quarterback situation, whereas a coach, don't get me wrong, I'm more of an offensive coordinator from a coaching standpoint, but my defense needs to go out and get stops. And I think you will point out the fact that FAMU always keeps big backs. That was the issue Southern had with them last year. They couldn't stop those huge running backs they had. But I think the issue is the way J-State's defense is set up. I think it's still set up to be an aggressive attacking type defense like it was last year. However, the way FAMU's offense was set up, they essentially determined how many players J-State had in the box. So if J-State had, not a lot of numbers in the box in terms of, players having their hand in the dirt, they checked off to a run. And if they had more people in the box to gear up to stop the run than Jeremy Musa, he checked to a passing play. And I think that aspect of it is what, really kind of impressed me with FAMU's offense. And then, of course, when Jeremy Musa did drop back the pass, he played well from a quarterback standpoint. Overall,
yeah, he did what he was supposed to do. There was no need to, try to blow up the skies with the passing game. The running game was working just fine.
Oh yeah, he leaned heavily on a running game, and more than anything, bro, I think as a team captain, as a leader, he constantly put his offense in the right situations, in the right position to be successful. And I'm gonna be truthful. I think that's the approach Southern need to have this coming week with J-State is, try to establish the running game, and hopefully they can have the same success running the ball that FAMU had today.
I want to welcome JB, and I want to give JB his props. He did mention that when last week's show, when everybody was giving Jackson State just saying Jackson State gonna run the board and they're gonna go undefeated. JB was the first one that said to say that. Hold on, let's see what they do against FAMU. So JB, what did you think of the game?
I mean, thank you, Jared. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like as I thought. And what Coach suggested earlier or said earlier, they picked FAMU to be the head of the SWAC division for a reason. There was a reason for that. Jeremy Musa, and I had a feeling that when everybody was talking about J-State, FAMU and them boys was gonna have an issue. I didn't really know, all the players FAMU had. I do know that that one player that Coach Septitali was telling us about at running back. I think he wore number 1, Jared, for FAMU.
Yeah, Jaquez Yancey.
Yeah, that's one of the running backs from FAMU. He, did his thing. He did a lot of runs where he bounced on the outside of FAMU and got 15 plus yards.
You mean
Um,
you said Boston as a family? You mean Jackson?
on Jackson State and on defense, they got 15 plus yards.
Mm-hmm.
Them boys was just faster than J State. I think when they was trying to go um, with number 4 for J State, I forgot his name already.
Jason Brown.
Jason Brown. They were trying to throw the ball in the air, get the ball in the air, attack them in the air. But what I saw is, fam, you had speed all over the field.
In the secondary, yes, sir.
They were just faster. Um, and the only success they had was from the Mulligan. From the
Earl
Mulligan dude,
Mulligan, which
Earl
I told you
Mulligan.
guys he was gonna be a dog.
But they swarmed Mulligan.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They swarmed him. Even when he broke, like what you and Coach alluded to last week, his running style, and he did that in this game. He broke 1 or 2 tackles. FAMU, shout out to the FAMU coaches, whoever coaching the defense over there, they swarmed the ball. And that's, how you're taught when you got a running back like that. You just swarm 'em. So, I mean, to be honest with you, this is nothing to really hang your head about. Like Coach said, this is just one game. This game can help you or it can hurt you. Um, they need to look at this as a game that will bring them back to earth, a humbling game for them. Hey, we weren't as good as when Coach Prime is here, but we still a good football team on the HBCU level and go from there.
Well, first of all, salute JB. Second of all, I wouldn't say that so quick, bro, because both for JSU and for Southern, there's a make or break game next week. I know it's kind of early in the season to be saying that, but Southern can't afford back-to-back losses. Neither can J State afford back-to-back losses in the SWAC. So whoever wins that game next week, I mean, they could feel a little bit better about this weekend. However, whoever loses that game, they're in a hole. And of course, that's the reason why I picked FAMU, even before SWAC Media Day. I said, on paper, Jackson State may have more talent because, going into the season, that's what a lot of people saying. That's the reason why some of these J State fans were like, oh, we're going to beat everybody in the SWAC by 40 because we have a Sun Belt Conference caliber team. So we're going to smack everybody. And I'm like, well, it's too early to tell because even though they may have an excellent team on paper, in terms of, you don't play the games on paper, you play the games on the field. And in terms of continuity and chemistry, FAMU has a more experienced team and they're more SWAC ready right now. And that was the reason why I picked FAMU in the spring to win the SWAC. And in addition to that, from next week's angle in terms of, Jackson State and Southern, it's more of, who's going to be able to establish something earlier on in the game because Cal Blood struggled yesterday. J State's defense struggled today. So it's going to be Southern's weak offense against Jackson State's ineffective defense today. So it's going to be interesting to see who wins next week.
It did.
And A.W. Mumford Stadium,
And Brandon, I'm sorry, brother, you haven't been able to say anything if you want, if you had something to say. And he did say, I got J State winning the next 2 games.
Mainly, I didn't have J State doing too well this year. I had them going up and down, but the first game I gave it to them just because. But they're probably as talented, but people don't realize that Coach Prime is a coach for a reason, and he was as good as he was when he played for a reason. He understands the game and how to get people in certain places. So they'll do good, but
salute, Will. I appreciate you, brother. Go ahead.
It'll probably be a year or 2 before they, get back to where people expect them to be.
They will. I believe so too. It's just that Florida A&M was ready for them. Florida A&M was ready for them. They remember being blown out, humiliated last year, with a
Yeah,
59
well,
to 3 or something like that. So they were ready for that ass this today.
when you get a giant on his knees, you go for the neck.
That's
And,
right.
and the thing me and you pointed out last week, bro, people don't realize that a lot of FAMU's top players were suspended when they played against J State last year.
That's
So,
right.
even though
That's
people
true.
talk about, hey, J State ran through the SWAC and they smacked everybody, people don't realize, bro, like a lot of FAMU's top players were suspended in that game. So that's why I was saying going into this game, FAMU, I said this last week, bro. I said, FAMU gonna want their shake back. And that was the reason why I picked FAMU last week. So, all of those, that's the thing that really just got me coming into the season, bro. Like a lot of these J State fans, I mean, don't get me wrong, like I said, on paper, they knew, we knew in terms of from a talent standpoint, TC Taylor did a good job raiding the transfer portal. And in terms of on paper, their team was just as good as it was last year. But bro, you don't play games on paper, you play it on the field. So that's why I was just astonished how all of these J State fans, hey, we smacking everybody about 40. We gonna three-peat the SWAC champions. And I'm like, man, y'all need to pump the brakes, bro. Because
For
I
real.
don't even see y'all winning the East, let alone winning the SWAC overall. So that's just a cautionary tale from my perspective,
So they're acting like Dallas fans, huh?
Pretty much. And to be truthful, if my Jags get their stuff together, I think Southern wins that game next week in A.W. Mumford Stadium because Southern went undefeated last year at home. So, I know our brother Ghost is the name. He said, he sees J State win the next two games. I think Southern wins next week if you ask me.
All I got to say, Coach, if y'all still having QB tryouts, I'll step up and and try out for the be our QB. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, I mean, that was the reason why he was trying to get all these quarterbacks in the transfer portal because I think he knew he didn't have that guy. He didn't have a Eric Randall, Quincy Richard, Trey Joseph, Austin Howard, Bryant Lee. He knew he didn't have that guy, and as a result, you got Clifton McDowell, and he's getting all of these guys in the transfer portal. Of course, a couple quarterbacks transferred out that had committed initially, but that was the reason why he was trying to get all these quarterbacks in the transfer portal. Like I was saying earlier, bro, I would just open it back up. I know Harold Blood has been there the longest, but after yesterday's game, bro, he's not that guy.
No, he's not.
I'm unapologetic in saying it.
We already talked about Southern, but I'm gonna go ahead and say, Coach, y'all need to go ahead and try to see who else y'all got because yeah, Harold Blood is not it. But moving on, because I know you guys want to, most of y'all want to get back watching the. I know who win it. Anybody know who win it? FSU versus Florida. Florida State versus LSU.
I can't watch. They're breaking my heart right now. Low scoring game.
Let's talk about some Power 5 schools and which school y'all hard off on Colorado because that's gonna be at the end. We're gonna end the show with that. But what were some of the teams yesterday y'all saw that impressed you?
Can I go first, please?
Yes.
I want to shout out to my North Carolina Tar Heels. You know what I'm saying? Taking care of business against South Carolina. And anybody know me? Me and Jared was talking about how bad the Tar Heel secondary was. Even it was so bad that when we played FAMU,
go ahead.
Yeah, right. The D line, everything. When we were playing FAMU last year, suspended players and all, that Jeremy Musa was still, driving it down the ball on UNC Tar Heels. When we played Spencer Rattler and the South Carolina Gamecocks. I saw the D line getting penetration. Some of the 5-star kids Mac Brown recruited was showing their ass. Shout out to Dez. What that boy named Jared? Number 10. Dez Desmond. Shout out to Desmond. Shout out to Bo Atkinson. Um, Shout out to everybody in the secondary. The boy that we got from Kent State, Ozzy. Um, Everybody looked fast. Everybody that they look like FAMU out there playing against Jackson State. Everybody was flying around, hitting anybody who had the ball. So, um, so to answer your question, um, my team that I was impressed with is, and I'm a homer, so it was the UNC Tar Heels. You know,
All right. Okay. Uh, Ghost is the name.
To me, yesterday, pretty much everybody did what I thought they was going to do, so I wasn't too surprised about much of anything. And I mean, it just seemed like a regular college week. It wasn't too many upsets. It wasn't anybody really doing anything crazy. There were some great highlight plays that were worth rewatching a few times, but outside of that, not really much for me.
Okay. What up, T Jackson? You knew, but we welcome you, brother. He says Texas Southern needs a quarterback and better quarterback. Corners. Well, I think Andrew body go be straight. I think he just had a rough go of it. A lot of teams did on the cool, but Andrew Body should because he's a decent quarterback. I think he'll clear out the cobweb and start playing better. David Scott the third. He said, "Salute Gerald O'Levin Green and salute family." Salute, brother. I appreciate you, man. D Weezy, the real Carolina, damn straight. And say, you know what? They did pretty good. Who impressed you, coach?
Well, I'm gonna kind of go in the opposite direction. The team that I was least impressed with was the University of Florida. Oh my goodness, bro! You know it's
Oh my
ironic
God. Yes.
how far those guys have fallen. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, truthfully speaking, it's like, dang, bro. I mean, you can't believe the SEC team as bad as they look week one. You know what I'm saying? So that was the team I was least impressed with. In terms of outside of our one of our two feature games, of course, you know LSU is the feature game now. We all know what the feature game was yesterday, but you know I think everybody since it's week one, you know we got a lot of cupcakes. For the most part, you know it's kind of hard to tell. You know, and of course I'm not a homer type guy, but I'll say the team I really was impressed with. I hate to say it. You know, of course, it definitely wasn't my Jags. I would say the Tulane Green Wave. You know, they're like a lower top 25 ranked team. You know, they were able to handle business. You know, it's going to be interesting to see what they do when they play against, you know, stiffer competition. But, you know, they were impressive. But for the most part, outside of our two feature games, it's kind of really hard to tell because so many teams played against like weak competition. You know, you got teams like Oregon really rolling it up against Portland State, and, you know, teams like Alabama, you know, they're playing weaker competition until these teams get in the conference play. You know, it's going to be difficult to tell who's what at this point.
Yeah, like teams like Arkansas State, they defense was like non-existent at all.
man, Arkansas State, man. If I was a head coach at Arkansas State, they ain't getting nothing but bologna and cheese sandwiches for the rest of the time. It ain't no catering. Ain't just for the rest of the time. You feed the team just bologna and cheese sandwiches. Ain't no sitting down. I'm removing the benches. Ain't nobody sitting down. Ain't no Gatorade. You getting water. So
Yeah, that was, and I know that the team they played that they got blew up was a better team, as far as talent wise and depth. But yeah, that defense was non-existent. Um, T. Jackson said, "I couldn't understand why I coach one away from our coach went away from the passing game, which is what the campus kept us in the game against Prairie View when the game was not existent. Uh, the passing game was not existent. The loss to me was more on the coach. Yeah, that could. I appreciate it, T. Jackson. Yeah, we cover. We give love to HBCUs. Yes, definitely, and a little football, a little bit of everything. So I appreciate you subscribing. Thank you, sir. All right, guys. I think my team that I saw in was USC. I knew they blew out Utah State, but um, Caleb Williams was Caleb Williams. I know it wasn't Pac-10 opponent, but they look pretty good. Um, Caleb Williams did Caleb Williams things. Did y'all see that off balance pass he threw?
yes, Lord, that jump was a rope straight to the receiver.
Yeah, bro. I mean, many people picking him to win to Heisman for a
He
reason,
might, yeah,
and
he
that's
might
the
win it
case,
again if he can stay healthy. Yes, David Scott, Jackson State did get smashed, but a lot of they made mistakes against, and I'm not capping for Jackson State, because that FAMU running game was dominant, but it's not like Jackson State couldn't move the ball against FAMU. It's just that they were making a lot of mistakes, and against that FAMU defense, you got to be perfect.
and hopefully they make all those same mistakes and even more next Saturday in AW Mumford Stadium.
Yeah, coach hoping for that, but just with the SWAC, anything possible. D Weezy said I was impressed with how Matt Rule kept doing Matt Rule things. Yeah. Oh, we gonna talk about that, David Scott. That's gonna be the next topic. Guys, I don't if those who did not watch the Colorado versus TCU game, I don't know if y'all was living under the rock or you're living in your mama basement and you ain't had no internet, whatever the case may be, you missed a damn good football game. I mean, people who normally don't watch college football was watching this game all because they went to see Coach Prime exceed or fail. And a lot of people picked Colorado to lose. I mean, get blown out by TCU by probably like 20 or 30 points. But I just knew better, and I'm not going cap. I I didn't say they was gonna win, but I knew they wasn't gonna get blown out. I knew they was gonna be it was gonna be a very competitive game, and turns out it was so competitive that the Colorado Bucks won. So we're gonna listen to something, an interview that Coach Dion said. Fair use YouTube, and would y'all bear with me?
Wonderful game, wonderful beginning, intriguing,
Can y'all hear?
passionate, purposeful. It's all of that. We had some
I can hear it,
Yeah,
but it's a little bit on the low side.
flip yourself out
Okay.
with their playing and their playing ability. A lot of guys you doubted. One of them from HBCU. I think he had 510 yards passing in a Power Five football game, and he happened to be my son, and I'm proud of him tremendously. Defensively, we had some letdowns, but the guys came and made the plays when they needed. I think we broke a record. Everything we do seems like a record. Four receivers with 100 yards. We didn't run the ball greatly, but we threw the heck out of the football. Um, Savion, another back, played a great game. All the guys contributed. Dylan as well as Hankerson. The line did their thing, fought their butts off. We got to fix some things on defense, especially special teams, because I think we gave up 3 or 4 turnovers. We gave up the kickoff. We had a fumble. A couple other things happened in the first half, but hats off to the opposing team. They're coached greatly. Believe their head coach. I love him to life. What he did, turning the program around at SMU as well as here last year. Good man. I had a moment with him in the middle of the field when one of the guys were injured, just to let him know how much I appreciate him, how much I respect him for what he's accomplished, and I really look up to him. He's a good man, and his team was well coached today. Let's have some questions so I can go back and enjoy myself with my kids.
Brian, go ahead. There's no mic. Coach, how much fun was today for you just to see all the hard work come and get to produce a victory in that first?
Well, it was. I'm not gonna say it was fun. It was satisfying in the end. You got to understand. Time the second ticks off the clock. I'm ready for next. Like I'm thinking, okay, we got to fix this, fix that, because we got to be much more dominant next week in all phases, not just one phase, but offensively, defensively, special teams. Offense, we did it. Defense, we got to fix some things. And special teams were horrendous. We got a kick block as well as Durner gave up a touchdown. That was horrendous.
All right, I'll go ahead.
How you doing, sweetheart? For real? Shador Sanders from a HBCU? The one that played at Jackson last year? The one that you asked me, why would I give him the starting job? But like that no, not you. I got receipts. I know who they are. Not you, baby. I just got to say it. I would never do that. Wow. Well, he and Shiloh just came when I was in the training room getting my foot worked on. He and Shiloh just came, and of course Junior was filming it, so we had a dad moment. They were really happy, elated. Shiloh came in there being apologetic because he noticed a couple tackles he missed. I'm on his butt right now, but he said he had 10 tackles, and I checked the stats, and I think he did. So, but I was just dad in there moments ago, and I'm proud of both of them. Really, I really am, and Junior, because his work shows. His work is why some of you are here.
Your other son, Travis Hunter,
Yes.
playing both ways. Can he keep that? How amazing?
Can he? I try to tell you, but you ain't want to believe me because I'm just a, you know, I'm just a lofty old young coach. I don't know nothing about football. I just played in the NFL for 14, played at a high level in college for 4, and been coaching youth all the way up for a long time. How do you think we got Dylan Edwards? I coached him when he was 4 to 7 years old. That's why we got Dylan Edwards. So Travis is him, like the young folks say. Travis is it. I really think, I always promote all my kids. I really think we got a couple guys that should be front runners for the Heisman right now. That's how I feel. And I want to promote my kids at all costs. We got a couple of them that, who did that? Who did what they did today?
Adam, go ahead. Coach, you mentioned Dylan Edwards.
Yes.
Touchdown. You've seen his first performance. Can you touch a little bit more on what he did out there?
Well, Dylan Edwards is phenomenal. I've been saying that since he was 4 years old. And we see that in practice all the time. Don't let the size fool you. Dylan looks in the mirror like Shallow Hal. He thinks when he looks in the mirror, he sees a 215-pound man. that's probably about 6'4". That's the way Dylan addresses life. And I think he had a little injury of his ankle early on, and he thought it popped. I'm like, no, no, God wouldn't have brought you this far for that. Not right now. Watch you, what the impact you're going to have in this game. And he had tremendous impact. Dylan is a dog, man. But you're going to consistently see what he does on a weekly basis because this is how he practiced. This is how Travis practiced. This is how Shador practiced. This is how those receivers I've been talking about that you didn't believe. This is how they really go to work. The defensive front, I mean, this is how they went to work as well. We got to clean up some things, but those guys, I think they played a pretty good game. Turn on the film. I tell them to turn on the film. We're gonna continuously be questioned because we do things that have never been done. That's the way our life has presented themselves. We do things that have never been done, and that makes people uncomfortable. When you see a confident black man sitting up here talking his talk, walking his walk, coaching 75% African Americans in the locker room, that's kind of threatening. Oh, they don't like that. But guess what? We're going to consistently do what we do because I'm here and ain't going nowhere. And I'm about to get comfortable in a minute. Because guess what? These young men in there right now, they believe. Not all of them believed before. But right now, they came up one by one, twos by twos. Coach, we believe. Now they believe. Now Boulder believes. People in the front office, people in the building, the fans, the students. Now everybody want to believe. I'm good with that. We got room. Because I was just thankful. You got to understand, I'm human. You know, I deflect a lot of things, but I'm human. So I feel some things, and I'm a natural giver. I'm a natural giver. I give. And every once in a while, you know, I have one of those empty moments that I got to reflect on. And these coaches are so good. Rick, George, for giving me the opportunity and just what we accomplished out there today. Ain't none of y'all believe that. Maybe a couple of y'all that knew me and know how I get down. They know I'm a winner. We're going to end up winning. Ain't none of y'all thought you was going to be sitting up here. You supposed to be on the other side, you know, interviewing that or coming asking me, well, what happened? You said this and you said that. Yeah. Now what? Now what? Everybody quiet now. Now what? Come here, dog.
So I had to stop it there. You can find the whole video. You can just put Deion Sanders Colorado interview. You can find that interview. But that was the interview he did after the game. And talk your shit, Deion. And rightfully so. He made a lot of people eat crow. Starting with JB, what did you think about Colorado pulling off the upset?
I was impressed as far as um, offensively. Um, I already knew not about coaching because I already knew Deion could coach. Deion Sanders could coach. I seen him coach on the high school level, the college level. Um, so I know he could coach on any level. I was just nervous on how, you know, if the offense was gonna mesh, the chemistry and stuff like that. The defense played how I thought they would. They would. They gave up some big plays, but they special teams was kind of shaky. But they at the end when they needed to make a stop, um, they did. And Jared, shout out to you, man. You've been talking about this before the season start. You scouting and looking at Colorado defensive line. Yeah, them boys need to continue eating their Wheaties, man. They were getting pushed around out there a little bit. I think they'll get better, but yeah, they need to tighten up. You know, that was, you know, the run. I forgot whoever the running back, Ty Sanders for TCU.
Yeah, Alabama transfer, yeah.
Yeah, was
Well,
was
eat
getting 6-7 yards a pop. So they need to
straight through the
go
middle.
to the lab. Yes, right through the teeth of the defense. Yeah, they need to tighten that up. But overall, man, that was amazing. What Shador did, and like he said after the game, that was the most yards he threw, HBCU or college period. And that boy, they got Edwards. He gonna be a problem.
Dylan Edwards, yeah.
He's a problem. Um, then they got your boy number 12 at receiver, um
Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter got a pick and he got 100 yards. He's just a playmaker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Possession receiver. He's not the fastest, but he knows how to get open, and he's smart on the defensive side. You know, uh, they got this other boy, Jimmy Horn Jr. Uh, he's pretty good. So I'm love what I'm seeing offensively. Um, uh, I think 78 said on his live, I'm gonna watch them every time they play. Um, Prime and them and the Buffalo and the Colorado Buffs put college football on notice that they here ain't nothing to play with. And TCU, the boy they had Chad Morris, I believe, Chad Morris
Hmm.
for quarterback. He didn't play bad. He's I think he's a decent little quarterback. Is he a Max Dugan from what they had last year? I don't know, but I think he played some good football last year, and he can run as well too. Like I said, Trey Saunders. Nobody really impressed me on the wide receiver side for them for TCU, but
They tight ends we eating though.
yeah, they tight ends. Yeah, they did have that
Number 19,
number 19 Tate. His name was
Jared something, but he was eating.
yeah, he was eating, but none of the receivers really impressed me. But I think that was a good football team they beat. You know what I'm saying? Ranked, um, just putting the college football world on notice. So, man, I'm excited to keep watching them as along with my Tar Heels. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah, good take. Ghost, what you think?
I think offensively, they definitely were, I'd say, disciplined. Shador took shots, but he didn't take too many shots. They seemed like they were well planned shots. That running back that they have out the backfield, that reminds of the Keaton Mitchell. If you're a Ravens fan,
Yes,
I think
sir.
that was pretty amazing.
Dylan
Dylan,
Edwards, yeah.
the number 10 at wide receiver, I don't know, his name
Weaver,
skips me. Weaver.
Weaver. Hmm.
He looks like a miniature DeAndre with his dreads hanging out his helmet. I think in a few weeks,
Right.
maybe about 3-4 weeks time,
Hmm.
I think they'll get more keyed in with him, and he'll start to take off a little bit. For me, I feel like the offensive line did well enough, but I feel like they pretty much coached around it. They made some adjustments to
Right,
help the offensive line out and make sure that they didn't have too rough of a go of it. I mean, when they started sending pressure, it definitely started to get home, but Shador seemed to know where to go with the ball, when to go with the ball. Like they didn't just teach him the playbook, they taught him the nuances of the plays. We're running this play for this reason, kind of that Bill Belichick always prepared style.
right,
I think defensively, they lost in the trenches. And I mean, that's what Prime did say about, being at a HBCU trying to play a Power Five. The trenches is where those players will get hurt at. So I think it's going to be one of those things next year. He's going to make sure to shore up. He's going to be at these high school kids' homes. Hey, your son comes here, he can play right away. And being if he is as good as advertised, just because I'm Coach Prime, you're going to have people looking at your son from the first game that he's on the field. So, notoriety will also help him with his recruiting like it did before. And you're going to get guys from the transfer portal who's going to want to come over now that they see what you're working with. Oh, that's what he's working with over there? And he doesn't even have an offensive line and a defensive line that's really up to Power 5 standards. You'll definitely get guys trying to come over, especially in positions where they know that they can start. The kickers, who's it, AJ Feely Jr., that block kick was probably on him because he nodded his head and then the ball was down and he still hadn't moved yet. And you have to be really quick because those guys coming off the edge know what they are doing. And they're coming off the edge and they're diving for that split second that you stutter, your cleat gets stuck in the turf, any and everything. And like Coach Ciptali said, that's why special teams matter. I hope Harbaugh didn't see that because he probably retweeted throughout the universe. But I think it's either he's going to be getting on that coach for the special teams, or they're probably going to end up getting a different coach. Because you can have all the ballers you want, but if your special teams is giving up touchdowns, it does not matter. And with TCU, they give up the most big plays. So Prime knew if I can stay disciplined, I can keep my players disciplined. Even if those guys are running score, they're going to give plays up. And it's a few plays that, they gave up, especially in the run game. But it's very few plays that they gave up in the pass game. And Hunter was on everything. I don't know what his 40 speed is, but his game intelligence speed is exactly where it needs to be because there was plays where he was peeling off of his defender like he was a safety and making the play where it needed to be made.
That interception he made at the goal line was insane. Because if you look at it, I saw what the quarterback was looking at. He was open, and he just flew in the picture. He looked like Ed Reed. How us Baltimore Ravens fans, how Ed Reed would trick the defender. Well, he'll be on the other side of the field, and then he'll get the quarterback to throw it, and then he'll run across the field just to pick it off.
You mean he'll trick the quarterback?
Yeah, he'll trick the quarterback. Yeah, he'll trick the quarterback to throw it. Then he'll run. He'll act like he on the other side of the field, and then once the quarterback throws it, he'll run toward that spot and pick the ball off. So, like you said, his intelligence is up there, and Coach can go and give his perspective. Just that point you made about recruitment. If y'all think what he did at Jackson State was impressive, just watch what he does and at the Power 5 level. Now that he's starting to show everybody he can win and he know what the hell he doing, I'm just saying, don't be surprised in a couple of years when he's competing with Nick Saban and them. I'm just saying.
I hear you. I definitely hear you. So I hear a lot of people making excuses. I saw people in the comment section on YouTube saying, "Oh, it was only one game." TSU secondary wasn't that great.
TCU.
TCU secondary wasn't that great. They're not, like you said, they're known for giving up big plays. But hold on, I thought Shedeur Sanders was just a HBCU quarterback. So no matter if it's a TCU secondary, your perspective is that what you're trying to say is because he's an HBCU quarterback, he's not going to have the intelligence to carve up at Power 5 school secondary, even if it is a TSU. So I don't want to hear it. But go ahead, Coach.
Bro, you understand me real well because you must have known I wanted to close this segment. But
yes, sir.
It's interesting that I saw Coach Prime in spring of 2021 because people talked about how he won the last 2 SWAC championships, but people don't realize. And when COVID hit, there was no SWAC play that fall. They didn't play again until spring of 2021. And I saw when he first got to JSU, bro, they were getting smacked. When they played against Southern, Coach Dawson, Oldham's, and Southern, they smacked JSU. However, that fall when they played and they came to A.W. Mumford Stadium, they still didn't have the line play that they needed, but from a perspective of skill players, Shador, he was a pure pocket passer at that point. And in addition to that, they had a lot of skill players across the board. And he said then that from a skill player standpoint, he felt like they could compete with Power 5 type schools. But in terms of up front on both sides of the ball, was if they played one of those type of schools, that's the area they would struggle in because he didn't have the line play. And, bro, to watch Shador progress from a pure pocket last year to becoming a dual threat quarterback that was athletic and that could run and that can pass from the pocket, because the first year he came to Southern, his freshman year, that was really kind of like how you could get Shador. Like, essentially, he was a pocket passer, but you didn't want him to take off. But you just kind of gradually collapsed the pocket on him where he really couldn't step up and throw the ball. Southern did an excellent job of doing that. But that last drive of the game is like he broke loose, and he did enough for Jackson State to win that night. And then, of course, Glendon Bubba McDaniel, he couldn't answer that. He got Southern out to like the 20-yard line before the drive started out, and they won. And of course, that was like one of the worst from a publicity standpoint. That was like one of the worst games for Coach Prime, because after the game, J-State players planted the flag in the middle of A.W. Mumford Stadium, Pete Richardson Field, and Jackson State and Southern players fought at the end of the game. That was, and the crazy thing about it was that was such a good game, like the best game I saw the whole year. It was sad that, it ended that way, but it showed from a Coach Prime standpoint, like when he first started in the spring, they just were getting smacked. Then the next year, he had all the skill players, but he didn't have the line play. And last year, bro, he just added the icing on the cake where he had the line play on both sides of the ball. And, people was giving Shador so much flack, Coach Prime flack for, hey, why is your son starting this, that? He came out the SWAC. Well, people don't realize he was the SWAC Offensive Player of the Year last year. And essentially, he was the SWAC Player of the Year. So to watch him progress from being that guy to being a potential Heisman candidate, and not only him, but Travis Hunter and Savion Wilkerson, he brought a lot of players from J-State with him. People don't realize that. And, that's the thing that just got me. Of course, as the game was concluding, I was doing my show, Bayou Sports Talk, yesterday, at 2:30. And, of course, I'm trying to moderate the show, and I'm also trying to keep one eye on the game. Bro, it was a heck of a game. Even though he transitioned from JSU, because we knew you and I talked about this all the time at the time, bro. We knew at some point he was going to leave J-State for greener pastures, and he did. And, it was just interesting just to see, Shador, progress from being a pocket passer to a dual threat SWAC Player of the Year last year. And now he's a potential Heisman candidate. Travis Hunter, Savion Wilkerson. And, of course, my focus is not only on Coach Prime, but the players that he took from GSU to Colorado with him. It was clearly the best game of the day yesterday, probably the best game of the weekend. I'm glad everything went well, but like y'all said, it's gonna be interesting to see next year when he get the line play up front on both sides of the ball to go with all these skill players that he have and the additional skill players he'll bring in. Bro, Colorado is gonna be a problem. I say in the next year or two, they're gonna be competing for a national championship. I'm willing to go out on a limb and say that. And bro, I got to give you your flowers because you said, before the season started, you was like, hey, looking at the guys he's bringing in from the transfer portal, he's gonna have skilled players, but the line play up front on both sides of the ball is gonna be the area they struggle in. And sure enough, yesterday, bro, that was 100% accurate.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I knew Coach Prime being a Hall of Fame skill position player, he was going to have an eye um, of picking the Travis Hunters, what's the boy, what's the other, he didn't play yesterday, but what was the other 5-star cornerback he recruited? And that's another thing. Another player that's not probably not as talented as Travis Hunter, but he's in the area. That young brother ain't play because I believe it was an injury. So he got the secondary and wide receivers that he want. It's those big hog mollies in the trenches that's going to tell how he's going to do when mid Pac-12 play.
All I got to say, looking at their schedules, Jared,
Uh-huh.
barbecue chicken. I don't. There's only two. They only should lose 2 games this year. Honestly, anything. This is college football. Anything can happen.
Is your
But
opinion okay?
it's my opinion. But everybody else is barbecue chicken.
Except for USC and who's the other one? Maybe Oregon.
Oregon gonna be tough because Oregon stay with speed.
Even
Every
if they're
year
not
they got
having a good
speed.
year, they got some speed somewhere. You're right,
Yes.
man. But it was exciting to see. That was the only game I'll put up against that game yesterday, and I'm not saying that's close. Was the Prairie View A&M versus Texas Southern game. That game was exciting. Um,
Hey
I agree,
man,
bro. I agree.
Jared, you was right about your boy from um Prairie View.
Trezon
Um,
Connolly.
yeah, that boy from Duncanville doing his thing.
You can't go wrong with a Coach Samples quarterback. If he was under Coach Samples, he know how to ball. Whether they're running the ball, passing a little bit. Coach Samples we trust, especially in the DFW area. I knew that boy was gonna get it together because of where he came from. But anyway, guys, that is the show. I want to go ahead and conclude it because there's football going on. I want y'all to enjoy your Labor Day. Y'all spend time with family, love your loved ones, man. You don't know how long we got on this earth, and enjoy football, enjoy life, man. But I just want to appreciate all my panel, everybody in the chat. Shout out to the mighty LDBC, man, and all the other brothers and fellow content creators came in and just showed me love. I love all y'all, man. I appreciate you. Um,
Hold up, bro. Before you close off, what's the question, Brandon, that you have for the panel?
I did have a question. Depending on how this season goes, what do you think are the chances that coaches either call Prime to get on the staff, or if Prime recruits coaches from maybe the NFL, the XFL, or other leagues to come in and help him coach his college football team?
he's already done that. Like And there's one thing I disagree with you, Ghost, is that the special teams was on the coach. That was actually on the players because most of the coaching staff that Coach Prime currently had right now were former coaches, Power 5 coaches. So all basically what you're saying, he's already done that in a way.
I mean, from the this new crop of people who may get fired this year, and I said the kicker was to blame for that kick, and I think it's only the coaches if these things don't get corrected
Oh, you're talking about in the long run. Oh, my apologies.
in the
Okay,
long run if it doesn't
okay.
get corrected. AJ Philly Jr. is just he did terrible yesterday. He delayed his kick, and that's why that kick got blocked. Even the announcer said it. He was like, the ball was hiked and the kicker wasn't moving. When the ball is hiked, the kicker is supposed to be moving, and the guy has to get that ball down because as soon as the ball is hiked, the kicker moves, the ball has to be down. That ball got to the guy and he got it down, and Philly was still looking at the ground trying to decide what he needed to do next.
Yep, David Scott. Yeah, like Coach Vincent Dancy. He was a Mississippi Valley coach, so for years, so he was trying to survive. Trying to get them boys in Mississippi Valley to play right, and so he was trying to soldier it out with Mississippi Valley. But he was a good coach. He just didn't have the resources to
I
turn that
mean,
Delta Devils around. But he was a damn good coach, and he's on that staff. And
when
Coach
Harbaugh
Prime
gets
picked
fired
him out.
this year, when Harbs
Go
gets
ahead.
fired this year, he'll be great for the special teams.
Yeah, yeah.
And just to answer Ghost's question, you know they're gonna try to bring Coach in, offer him a position and stuff. You know they're gonna try that. They're gonna do that. Um, as far and as Jared said, I think he's doing that already. He's bringing his people in. So I think to answer your question, both answers is yes. Yes, that he's gonna bring coaches in, and yes, other coaches around the nation is going to try to bring Coach Prime in to be part of his staff. I think if that's that question you answer, you're asking. Excuse me.
No, I think after yesterday, and I think after this season, I think uh, more high profile Power Five schools are gonna try to get him. I
Right.
think more than likely, I think eventually he'll be uh, Colorado will be one of the top teams in all of college football. I think it's not out the question in the next year or two, next few years he'll win a national championship at Colorado. And I'm gonna be truthful. I think whatever's the most prestigious college job, I think he'll eventually have that, or he'll end up back at Florida State where he played. But in terms of him going to the NFL, I don't think he's already said that he has no interest in coaching in the NFL. I think because he can kind of shape and mold and groom college players to his
Yeah.
liking, whereas the NFL players, they're multimillionaires. They're not as
Grown
coachable, not as
men.
teachable.
Right.
They're grown men. And in addition to that, I think he kind of said that he basically he doesn't want to put in those type of hours that
Yeah, you're right, Cole. He did say that. Yeah.
yeah. But I think the only thing that would kind of lead him to coaching the NFL team is if he coached his son or his sons in the NFL. But outside of that, he's made it clear that he has no interest in coaching in the NFL.
Oh no, I meant just purely in Prime is the type of guy if he can upgrade something, he's going to. So I feel
No, no,
like
no,
if
no, no, no.
a
I'll be
hurt,
100% with you, bro. And like Jared and I, y'all might not be aware, but the question you asked, we talked about this like months ago in terms of, he brought in, he handpicked a lot of the coaches that's on his staff, and he brought them in, whether they're coaches from the SWAC or whether they're coaches from other like high profile teams or whatever the case may be. And, he's going to continue to do that, bringing, coaches as he see fit, because more than likely he might lose a couple coaches, and he'll probably, bring in, more high profile coaches or whatever the case may be. Other coaches are probably going to get him, or maybe other schools will try to get him, because I don't see him being on anyone's staff. More than likely, wherever he goes, he's going to be the guy in terms of being a head coach. So I think he's going to bring in other coaches, as his time progresses, and of course, more high profile jobs are probably going to try to attract him to their school. But But in terms of like the question you have, like I said, Jared and I, we've been talking about, that question that you asked. We've been talking about this for several months now.
Yeah, I saw that episode. I was just wondering if maybe you guys had changed an opinion or two.
No,
Right.
it's football. It's like it may happen, but um, uh, if coach keeps rolling, some of them coaches will leave to get more money. And Coach Prime, the type of guy he is, he gonna welcome it wholeheartedly because he's all for seeing other mainly the people under him and his coaches for a better well being. And he may have to, like you said, but he may have to reach out to um uh you saw he had Warren Sapp on the sideline. Might bring Ed Reed in you know
Hmm.
you never we never know. So that was it was a damn good question, Brandon. Like
Yeah,
Coach said, we've been talking about it, but that type of question, it's that's a wide open question. Anything can happen. So
yeah,
damn
but
good question.
to get every point, bro, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not saying Coach Prime wouldn't bring him in, but after the whole
That was just an
Bethune
example, but
fiasco,
I know where you're going.
yeah, after the whole Bethune fiasco, I don't know. Ed Reed might be kind of high right now, bro. You know what I'm saying?
He gonna have cut the Colorado players pick up trash around campus.
Hey, chill out, JB.
I'm just
uh,
saying.
Yeah, if things don't shape up, he may be the first to go. But that's going David Scott the third. That's going to change with like Brandon Zell, aka Ghost, said earlier. That's going to change with recruiting. So that's not necessarily the defensive coach. It's just they got the secondary, but they need linebackers are okay, and that's a flimsy okay. They're not garbage, as you saw. Yeah, they're not completely horrible, but that defensive line need a new. They need some meat. They need some big boys. They need some buffet busters in the middle, or the more physical teams um, will he, it's gonna get ugly. But uh, guys, I want to wrap it up. Um, Brandon, aka Ghost, tell people where they can meet you and see you.
86 Ghost on YouTube and 86 Ghost underscore on Twitter and Instagram. And my Instagram stories are probably funnier than my videos.
Okay, all right, yeah. Please subscribe and share. Mainly subscribe. Get his likes up and his subscribers up. Very good content. I mean, like being a head coach somewhere. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right, David. Yeah, my bad. You're right. Um, but Coach, where can people can meet you and see you?
All right, of course, you can see me at Cool 67 Sports TV on all social media platforms, on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok, of course here on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, every Saturday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time typically is our normal time. Sometimes we may have to push the time up or push it back. Uh, we have our own show, Bayou Sports Talk. Of course, yesterday, a lot of same topics we talked about here today. We talked about yesterday on Bayou Sports Talk. And of course, me being a diehard Southern University fan, I talk about Southern University football on my channel. Of course, like I told my brother Jared, I saved my video. I'm probably gonna upload it later today, maybe even tomorrow. More than likely, I'll probably upload it tomorrow for Labor Day. My post game analysis of Southern University versus Alabama State yesterday. I'm also going to talk about Southern University, the game this coming Saturday against Jackson State. How those two teams match up with each other, so on and so forth. And I'm trying to arrange something where I may broadcast live next week from AW Mumford Stadium during the Jackson State game. So for y'all individuals like HBCU talk, in particular from a Southern University perspective. Y'all check out my YouTube channel, Coach 67 Sports TV. Like, share, subscribe, all that other good stuff. Hopefully y'all enjoyed today's show. Y'all have a blessed, phenomenal evening. Enjoy y'all Labor Day. And we'll catch y'all next week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please support the brother. JB, as always, thank you for getting on here, supporting me, sharing your perspective, brother. I appreciate you.
No problem. Always, man.
But guys, again, y'all have a blessed Labor Day. Y'all be safe. That was another installment of the Southern Baller Show. Y'all be blessed.
Peace.